Hey guys, my name is Rebecca and today we are doing the AuthorTube Newbie Tag. As with the BookTube Newbie Tag, you'll have to excuse me if I'm looking down a little bit. I have my notebook here with the questions and some basic answers in there just in case I get myself turned around or anything, because I'm still getting used to being on camera and I tend to forget what I'm saying. So this was recommended to me by Happy Reading. I will link her down below. And it was originally created by Jenna Streety. I will again link her down below if you want to check them out. Alright, so the first question is, how did you find out about AuthorTube? I found out about AuthorTube by accident. I started watching Jenna Moressi's videos. The first two that I watched were her female and male protagonist pet peeves, and I thought they were really funny. I ended up clicking through and discovered that she was actually she was actually filming a lot of videos on the writing process and advice like that. And then I started watching BookTube and discovered that AuthorTube was actually a thing on BookTube. Somebody on BookTube mentioned it, so that's how I discovered AuthorTube. Question 2 is, what genres do you write in? I'm only on my first novel at the moment, so fantasy, but I have plans for more fantasy in the future, and also horror. I'm a huge horror fanatic. I would love to try it out myself, and if I really like it, and if I feel I can contribute to the genre, then I will be hopefully writing some horror as well. Question 3. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? Children's, young adult, new adult, adult, etc. My preferred writing tense is past. My preferred point of view is third. Deep third is great. And my current novel is going to be an adult fantasy from third person perspective with a few different points of view in past tense. So that's just what I prefer. I prefer that when I'm reading as well. I've read a lot of first-person perspective books lately, but I do actually prefer the third person. I feel like it could be really hard to nail the first-person perspective. So number 4, are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? If anyone doesn't know what a pantser is, it's basically somebody that moves into their manuscript by the seat of their pants and just does their best. Without planning anything in advance. And I would say I'm a plantser. I do plan. I wrote up a big timeline on massive sheets of paper for my novel. It didn't include every single detail in it. It was just a basic timeline of all the really important stuff. And then I transferred that over to my laptop. And as I've written the book, I've also let ideas and things come to me naturally and organically, and I've added those and seen where they've taken me. So I think I would be a combination of pantser and planner, so plantser. Question 5, are you a self-published, published, or yet to be published author? I am yet to be published. I'm still working on drafting my first novel. I'm about to start draft 4 actually. Then I'm going to get my husband to read it. Make any changes I need to there, and then I'm starting the beta reading process. I've got beta readers lined up already, so that is where I am in the publishing process. Number 6, what publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? I don't think I have a dream publishing house or literary agent. My plan is actually self-publishing. I like that you have a lot more creative freedom there. So that is what I'm actually striving toward. So I suppose my dream publishing house is me, if that makes sense. Number 7, what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? It'll mostly end up being progress updates from me and things like that. There might be some videos on my personal process when I'm writing. For example, the way I mentioned my outlining process before on the massive sheets of paper, I could walk people through how I did that. And if I feel confident about a particular topic, I may occasionally post advice videos. I do actually have an idea for one for writing with disabilities, and it wouldn't be a be-all end-all advice video. It would be what I have found useful writing with disabilities to try and make the process a bit easier on myself. So things like that you can expect to see on my channel. I'm also a booktube channel, so you will see a lot of booktube related content as well. I'll be doing reviews, wrap-ups, maybe lists and things like that. Question 8. When did you start writing? I started writing when I was a kid. I wrote a lot of poetry when I was a kid. I wrote short stories and things like that. Can't for the life of me remember any of them. But I was a kid when I started writing. As for my current novel, I started writing that in July last year. I actually took part in Camp NaNoWriMo, which is the national novel writing camp in July. And I just went into that with no planning. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I had my characters set up, basically. And I ended up hating basically everything that I wrote. But it was a learning process. I took what I wrote, I rewrote it after actually making a plan. And a lot of what I wrote actually ended up in my current draft. So I don't regret my time doing that at all, and that's why part of the reason I said that I'm a plantser more than anything, because I did go into that blind and discovered that it wasn't really the way it was going to work for me. So it was a learning process that I really appreciated. So question 9 is, what was the first story you ever wrote? And I'm sorry, I cannot remember for the life of me. I'm sure it was something very typical for a kid to write. It was probably about animals or something like that. I've always been really into animals, but I can't remember. Question 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? I think the author that has inspired me the most, not necessarily in terms of my writing style, but in my motivation to write, would be Sir Terry Pratchett. He wrote the Discworld series. There's about 50 books in the series. I'm only about 14 books in. I've been taking my time with him because he passed away a few years ago, and I don't want my time in the Discworld with new books to end yet. So I love Terry Pratchett's wit. He's got a very British sense of humour, which I really appreciate. I've got a very similar sense of humour. And it was discovering him and the Discworld that reignited my interest that I've had since I was a child in writing a novel. It just took a little bit of time to get to the point where I felt I had the time, the energy, and the commitment to begin with that. So Sir Terry Pratchett is definitely the main author that has motivated me and pushed me down this path. So question 11, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I do a bit of both. Lately I have actually been scheduling my sessions, not the specific time slot, but I've been writing it in my planner. Every day I want to edit these chapters because I'm in the editing phase at the moment, not the writing phase. And I think that's really helped me keep on track. I've actually been able to keep up with everything. I've also got days set aside that are my days off. They coincide with my husband's days off from work. In a lot of ways, I'm a little lucky here because I currently don't have a job, so I can treat my writing as a full-time job even though I'm not getting paid for it yet, which means that I don't have to worry about trying to find time to write. I can just sit down at my desk at any point during the day and work, so that has also been really helpful. So I do a bit of both, but I have been scheduling it lately to try and boost my productivity. Question 12. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of these? And where do you write in general? I do a combination of two things. I mostly use my laptop. I actually bought a laptop specifically for writing this novel. We do have another laptop, but it is very old. It's very clunky. and it is so old that it has to be plugged into the wall at all times, and I wanted something portable that I could take up to the cafe if I felt like it, or I could move from the study into the lounge room without too much difficulty. So I bought a laptop that I have used primarily for that. But I do also write bits and pieces out on paper. I'll show you. I've actually got this notebook that I keep next to me when I'm editing, and I make notes in here about things that I want to double check. Did I use this phrase too much? Does what she says in this chapter coincide with what she said in that chapter, and all that, so that it's easier for me to find when I come back around to do my next round of drafts of editing in draft 4, so that I can make changes as necessary. I did also do my outlining on paper before I typed it into my computer, so that is what I do. As for where I generally write, it really depends on how my health is treating me on any particular day. If I'm having a good day health-wise, I will sit in here in my study and work. I have my desk to myself. It's decorated in a way that I find pleasing, which means that I'm feeling pretty happy as I'm working. And I can just sit in here as long as I want and or need and work. But I do sometimes work in the lounge room if my health is being a bit of a pain. If I'm in a lot of pain and things like that, I sometimes find it more comfortable to sit on the couch under a blanket, so then I can take my laptop in there and work on the couch. It really does depend on how my health is on any given day. But this would be my primary workspace here. And the final question is question 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're a part of AuthorTube? I'd say I'm most looking forward to meeting other authors, because it's always fun to have friends that are doing a similar thing to you. And I'm looking forward to trying to just be a part of the community, sharing my experiences, absorbing other people's experiences, learning from their experiences, maybe helping other people to learn from my experiences, and just generally be a part of this amazing community. And then hopefully making friends as well. So that is the AuthorTube Newbie Tag. Thank you very much for being with me today. I will have my next reading vlog up on Monday if you're interested in seeing that. And I will see you guys next time.